Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the final segment, the fifth segment of the pre-scenes understanding of Snakwheel, the assigned company for the May and August 2022 pre-scene and the strategic case study. Before I get started, a gentle reminder to all of you. You do know that there is plenty of support content. It's not too late to still join the CIMA SCS with AZB Coaching Program. We are well on our way to establishing the perfect pathway to clearing this exam, clearing this hurdle with the best, as you can see, the best world-class support that anyone can receive in the world. So you do have the resources in the form of understanding this program and accessing it with www.cimascs.com and the official YouTube playlist to help you get started with plenty of useful content. On that note, let me get to the core discussion of this video, which is the fifth final segment. As you can see, the news stories and the blog posts. With every pre-scene, we see this. The examiner provides us a contextual understanding around what's going on in the company. We initially get understanding of the industry. When you analyze the pre-scene, you can break it down into three main components. First, an understanding of the industry. Secondly, an understanding of the company, its history, its position, how it works, its risks, its board of directors, its composition, its operations, etc. And finally, a contextual understanding of what's going on in that particular situation, in the current situation, through the form of a series of news stories and blogs. And that is what we are going to look at in a format that extracts the crux of the matter, in a format that really doesn't waste a lot of time, but we understand what the examiner is trying to communicate to us through them. So let's take a look at what news items and blog posts we have. The first is a question surrounding why Steam Pizza, which is one of our restaurant partners, has gone below in the app. So this is related to a particular complaint that we are receiving in terms of a kid who is saying that their parents have to scroll down a lot. So Snakwheel in response to why a restaurant can be below in the app, that you have to scroll a lot to find it. Snakwheel allows you to order food from several different restaurant chains. The chains believe that they will sell more meals if their tabs are near the top when the app is opened. The restaurant chains pay a fee to be near the top. So it's a particular exclusive service for a fee to be on top. Presumably, one of the other chains offered to pay more for a better place and pushed Steam Pizza down the list. All of the home delivery services do this. If a customer likes a particular food, then they will have to scroll down until they find Steam Pizza on the app. Of course, when you look at modern applications, the design of the application is a little bit more different and more sophisticated, that you don't necessarily, you can choose the restaurant directly if you want. You can tap restaurant partners, click on the one, and with Snakwheel, that hassle might even be lesser because you only have 5 partners. So you don't even have to search for a particular restaurant partner, anything like that. You only have 5 partners. So if there's a restaurant tab, you just click on it. You have 5 partners. You click on which restaurant you prefer. In this case, Steam Pizza. So that can be an alternate advancement of the application. But for now, we understand that for a payment, a restaurant can choose to be featured on top of the scroll window. Then we have the second news item, which is surrounding the question, why did Baghetto disappear from the app and then come back? Which involves a particular situation where when a particular customer was looking for Baghetto, they didn't see it, and later in the morning, the next day in the morning, it had reappeared. So why? There are two main possibilities that the examiner is trying to communicate to us why this could happen. The first possibility is that Baghetto was not in the customer's delivery range. It was not a practical possibility to deliver from Baghetto, considering the location that the customer was at. Where the examiner is saying apps can track the location of the device that is being used to communicate with an IT network. Apps can track the location of the device to communicate with an IT network. Fast food delivery services check the location of the user's smartphone or tablet when the user signs onto the app. Software identifies the restaurants that are close enough to the user to enable a delivery, and only those menus are shown on the app. So when we place an order, or when we are seeking to place an order, only the restaurants that are within range that couriers would find it practical to deliver are featured. Perhaps you were within the delivery range of the nearest taste burger, but not the nearest baguette. So that could be one possibility why a customer does not see a particular restaurant featured or food from that restaurant featured in the app. The second possibility is that this is the more obvious one, where baguette was closed at the time. The app also checks which restaurants are open when the order is being placed. Baguette's restaurants close at 6 p.m., while Taste Burgers are open until much later. Coming in from that question, the app will only display tabs for nearby restaurants that are actually open for business. Obviously, it would be counterproductive to feature restaurants at a particular time when they can't order, when they cannot deliver. So these are the two main possibilities. Remember that now and forever, perhaps. For as long as you can remember, there are two reasons why an application will not feature a restaurant. One, it's not in your delivery range. Two, it's closed. That brings me to the third news item. This was more a description, a descriptive take on sort of like an explanation on the business of home delivery. And it says platforms that offer online ordering and delivery has transformed the fast food delivery industry. There is a growing trend for consumers to use those services as an alternative to visiting their favorite restaurant and eating there. Restaurants are finding that this phenomenon is increasing total demand for restaurant food. So online ordering and home delivery is booming. It has transformed the industry. There's a growing trend of consumers adopting to this method. Restaurants are finding that this has an effect of increasing total demand. Consumers enjoy the convenience, especially when the alternative is often to eat in a fast food restaurant that has been designed to look bright and inviting from the outside, but quickly proves to be designed to discourage customers from sitting and lingering over their meals, which we looked at in the industry understanding, where these restaurants are built to attract you, but not to keep you sitting in them for long durations. Delivering food frees restaurants from constraints imposed by the number of guests who can be seated at any given time. Most restaurant kitchens can cope with home delivery orders even when all of the tables are full. So demand, right? You can cater for more demand through online delivery. That can make busy periods such as weekends far more lucrative for restaurant owners. 85% of deliveries are to homes and 15% to work addresses. Weekends are significantly busier than weekdays. So it generally talks about the kind of opportunity that home delivery has created in the restaurant and the food industry by and large, and how online ordering and home delivery has created a better opportunity for restaurants to make more money, catering for bigger demand, both from their in-house walk-ins and the delivery aspect. Furthermore, that news goes on to say that food delivery platforms have achieved a 55% penetration of the total potential vegetarian market for fast food deliveries. Industry analysts believe that the market is now mature and that penetration is unlikely to ever exceed 65%. Perhaps that depends on the demography which we looked at in the industrial understanding of the vegetarian market, where 65 plus, 40 plus categories have a lower proportion of customers ordering a meal at least once a week through online delivery platforms. But 55% penetration is a huge potential, which is possibly why Snakwheel is making so much money, which we looked at in segment 4. Consumers tend to be satisfied with the service that they receive, but expect deliveries to be prompt. Delivery times of up to 1 hour are generally acceptable. That depends on the customer though. 1 hour can be a long time for some. I know a few people who might have problems staying for 1 hour, especially at peak times. That might be more understandable, or you can potentially order earlier. But any longer tends to cause complaints, both from the delivery perspective and from the quality of the food that is arriving. If the courier is late after picking up the food, and if the insulation has some problem with it, or it's not well designed to sustain for longer than 20 or 40 minutes, then when the food reaches you, it can be damp, it can be, not the standard that you expect it to be with. The vast majority of consumers use a single portal for all of their orders, hardly any download two or more apps. Customers usually remain loyal once they have signed up. Fewer than 20% of those who sign up for a portal subsequently change to another. So we do have a couple of inputs on how the portal is being used. Customers like to use one application, one entry, one browse attempt, and they don't like to use multiple applications, and they usually remain loyal. And generally, you have a large proportion recurring their usage with the application. So general tendencies that you generally see with the fast food industry, nicely summarized there. The next news item is about how a local soccer game reduced couriers on duty. And this is actually a blog post where a courier is writing his experience of what happened on the night on a night where a particular very famous football match was happening, where the native town's team was playing. I have just broken my personal record for a single evening's earnings since I started delivering for Munch Bike. I decided that there would be lots of dedicated fans who wanted to watch the game on television when the local soccer team made it through to the cup final, and they would be too excited to cook. I logged into the delivery app at 3 in the afternoon and was given a job within 2 minutes. I made my collection and delivery, had another job within seconds of confirming that I was available again. It was like that all night. It was nothing like a typical midweek evening when it can take up to 20 minutes to be assigned a collection after confirming a delivery. I kept going until the last local restaurant closed at 11 that night. And I realized later that most of the other couriers had decided not to work because they wanted to watch the game, which probably explains the bigger demand. That meant that there was more than enough work to keep the few couriers who were working busy all night, which is great when you get paid a fee for every delivery. So the higher the frequency of deliveries, higher the amount you get paid. Since the local team scored a goal early in the match and were ahead all through the game, the customers were really happy and they were really generous with their tips. So we don't know whether there's a correlation between customers being happy and the size of the tips, because you just have, there may be many people watching, and it depends on the person who walks to the door and opens the door and picks up or gets the delivery. So can be a weak correlated factor. That brings me to the final blog post where a courier is complaining on the complete opposite of what we read earlier, where a courier is being left with little to no work. Munch Bike asked me to work from 5 to 10 p.m. last night because their system reckoned that they would be short of couriers. I arrived in my district in plenty of time and logged in through the app, but it was 5:30 before I was given my first delivery. So I was assigned to a particular location and I was hoping to get deliveries, but it took half an hour to get the first assignment. But I earned hardly anything. So it was 5:30 p.m. before I was given my first delivery, and work was slow all night. I'm not sure why people weren't ordering food for delivery, but I earned hardly anything. I only made 6 deliveries in the course of the evening. The manager at Brian Burger lets me sit in his restaurant when things are quiet. So we can assume that Brian Burger is another restaurant chain, perhaps maybe the second biggest, because this particular courier is working for Munch Bike, which is a close peer. We understood with the numbers, quite lagging behind, but a close peer to Snakwheel. And I spent the last 90 minutes of my shift just sitting there, wishing that my phone would ping to say that I had a collection. It is really boring when there is nothing to do and we only get fees and gratuities when we make deliveries. But the platforms are getting better at making sure we are busy. They have worked out that they lose couriers when there are too many quiet shifts. So perhaps it's the responsibility of the platform and the restaurant chains to aggressively market, maybe advertise, and to get the engagement going, because you can't afford to lose couriers as well. and to sustainably maintain that profitability while taking care of the operational expenses, you will need continuous and recurring usage and engagement. And that is, I think, the main idea that they are going to communicate or trying to communicate here. Ultimately, for a courier, from a courier's perspective, there are good days and then there are bad days. On that note, we wrap up the 5 critical segments of understanding the pre-scene. So the idea is that if you have collectively gone through all of the 5 recordings, you have or you establish a very, very thorough understanding of what this company is all about. You supplement it with the research content that we've done with the CIMA SCS with AZB program, and you are well on your way to actually being capable or having the competency beyond the necessary capabilities of being a finance manager, senior finance manager of the finance function in Snakwheel or a similar company. On that note, happy learning, and thank you very much for associating the content. I hope it has been beneficial. Keep learning, keep up the effort. If you're in the program, you know the to-do list, so continue engaging with that, with all of the aspects, and make sure that your efforts fall in that required standard without overburdening yourself, as I always say. Stay relaxed and happy learning. Good luck, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you soon. Thank you.